They say peace can't be bought, but at Maple Lake, it apparently comes with a price tag and a citation for birdsong. Looking back, I should have sensed a shift that morning. Clara was already out on the porch, still wearing her grandmother's faded gardening apron, sipping coffee from that old metal percolator that's been around longer than either of us. She looked like part of the landscape, serene, deeply rooted, like nothing could rattle her. I remember thinking how lucky we were. Just us, the trees, the lake, the breeze. No one breathing down our necks about what shade of beige we could or couldn't paint our porch. Then, like a storm in leopard print, Aggie arrived. No knock, no greeting, just a sharp crunch of gravel under designer heels as she stormed up our path with a clipboard clutched in one hand and a rhinestone-bedazzled measuring tape dangling from her belt like a sheriff's badge. She smiled, but it was the kind that made your skin crawl. "Excuse me," she chirped, her tone sticky sweet and condescending. "I'm Agatha Pembroke, your new HOA president." Clara didn't flinch. She just took a long sip from her cup and said, "We don't have an HOA." "Oh, but you do now." Aggie grinned like she was delivering good news. Democracy in action. I formed it myself. Then out came the measuring tape. She bent a lawn and measured 3.2 inches over the 3-inch limit. Next, she marched to our kayak, which rested 9.5 feet from the shoreline. Regulations demand a 10-foot buffer. Then came the bird bath, an heirloom made of weathered stone, 16 inches in diameter. Not HOA approved. Sizes must be exactly 12 or 18, she noted. I watched the whole scene from the kitchen window, still in pajamas, clutching a piece of toast like it could silence her. Clara didn't argue. She studied Aggie like she was a mold sample, something new and unpleasant that might need scraping off. When Aggie turned her nose up at our century-old cabin and asked with a sneer when it was last painted, Clara said softly, 1989, my grandfather's final project. Aggie's smile stiffened. Unacceptable, she declared, flipping pages on her clipboard. Guidelines require repainting every 5 years using HOA-approved palettes. Then she whipped out a swatch book full of beiges, sand, oatmeal, eggshell, dusty moon. I didn't even know beige came in that many depressing shades. And then she looked at the roses. Now let me tell you about those roses. Clara's great-grandmother planted them in 1924, the day the cabin was finished. They'd survived floods, droughts, deer, and generations. Clara called them her inherited joy. Aggie just saw them as a violation. These exceed the 6-inch height limit for decorative flora, she barked, scribbling with flair. Clara lowered her coffee mug slowly, deliberately, like setting down a loaded pistol. Her voice was low but resolute. Those roses stay. Aggie's smile turned sharp. Rules are rules, Miss Harland, or should I say Miss Calvert. She dropped Clara's maiden name like it was a slur, and the air turned colder. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about code violations or property beautification. This was something deeper, personal. What we didn't know then, what we'd learn soon, is that Aggie used to run a real estate company. Got exposed 5 years ago for fraud. And guess who led the investigation? Assistant Attorney General Clara Calvert. Yep, our Clara. She'd tried to disappear into a quieter life, but Aggie hadn't forgotten. And now, revenge had come wrapped in an HOA charter. That week, violation notices began arriving like daily insults. Day 1, $50 for grass. Day 2, $100 for paint not matching the HOA palette. Day 3, $150 fine for unauthorized noise. Translation: birds chirping before 8 a.m. Every citation was hand-delivered by Ben, a poor college intern in a suit 2 sizes too big, who looked like he wanted to melt into the earth every time he walked up to our door. By the time the fines hit $800, Clara had built a folder labeled Evidence. She didn't rage. She prepared. I'd seen that look before, years ago in court videos. That wasn't defeat. It was strategy. Friday night. Ben showed up trembling, holding a thick envelope marked Final Notice. $1,500 due immediately, or the HOA would begin proceedings to force a sale of our property. Clara stood silent for a moment, holding the notice in one hand while staring at an old black and white photo of her grandmother on the porch. Taken a day, they paid off the mortgage. She whispered, "This is all I have left of her." And for the first time since I'd known her, Clara wept. By dawn, the tears had dried. Clara was in motion. She transformed our living room into a command center. Papers spread, property records highlighted, HOA bylaws dissected. She made calls. Favors were called in. Names I didn't recognize became allies. One of them, Rachel, uncovered something interesting. $30,000 had been allocated for landscaping in the HOA budget, but no landscaping had ever occurred. Then Ben returned. This time, he wasn't delivering threats. He was trembling, holding a USB drive like it was radioactive. "I can't do this anymore," he said. "She made me fake votes to form the HOA. She has blackmail on everyone. She even knows who Clara really is." The drive held everything: emails, audio clips, chat logs. In one, Aggie wrote, "I know who Clara Calvert is. She wrecked my life. I'll wreck hers. Legally." Clara scheduled a community meeting. Aggie strutted in like she was walking a runway. Clipboard in hand, she opened with, "Today we vote to authorize for sale the Harlan property for repeated noncompliance." Too many hands went up, fast, robotic, coached. Clara stood calmly. "Before you vote, there are some things you should know." Click. Next slide. Only 5 out of 50 homeowners had actually voted to form the HOA. Fraud. More gasps. Click. Bank records. $30,000 gone. More whispers. Click. Screenshot of Aggie conspiring with developers to erase the last of the legacy homes. Click. Audio of Aggie's voice snarling. "That AG thinks she's safe hiding behind a fake name? I'll take everything she loves." Aggie lost it. She screamed that Clara was impersonating a state official. "She's the criminal. I'm calling the cops." And she did. 20 minutes later, 2 squad cars rolled up. Aggie came charging from the bushes, screaming and waving papers like a woman unhinged. The officers walked up to Clara, calm as ever, and asked for ID. She reached into her apron, pulled out a worn leather wallet, and handed over a card. The officer read it, then read it again, then stood up straighter. "Ma'am," he said, "Assistant Attorney General Calvert, we apologize. It's an honor. I swear I watched Aggie's soul leave her body right then." She took a wobbly step back, tripped over a rhinestone tape, and landed face first in Clara's rose bush, thorns and all. The officers arrested her right there for false reporting, harassment of a state official, embezzlement, and fraud. Ben handed over the drive. Neighbors began speaking up. Stories of forced sales, threats, scare tactics. Clara stood steady in the center, calm and unshakable, like a lighthouse during a storm. 6 months later, the cabin is still ours. The roses bloom undisturbed. We got a postcard last week. Aggie's in Riverside Heights now. Her new target? A retired Marine colonel who's prosecuted more HOA fraud than most lawyers see in a lifetime. Poetic justice, wouldn't you say? So I'll ask you this. If someone came after your home, your peace, your history, how would you respond? Clara didn't fight with fists. She fought with facts, with dignity, and with the quiet kind of power that never has to scream to be heard. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done? And if you've ever stood up to a bully in a pantsuit with a clipboard, know this: you're not alone. And if you believe in protecting legacy, subscribe. We've got more stories coming.